Hi everyone, welcome back to Trees and Turtles. My name's Imogen. In today's video, I am teaching you ways in which self-doubt can be useful, like how to use self-doubt to your advantage, because I think it's something that a lot of people struggle with, and it is something that doesn't have to be negative, okay? Now, I talked in a video a while ago about how you can use anxiety to your advantage, because I suffer from anxiety, and so I wanted to make another video about self-doubt, because sometimes we feel like self-doubt is something like this big, like oppressive monster, but actually you can turn it around. So let's talk about how you can turn it around. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to do that, give this video a big thumbs up, follow me on Instagram, and let's get started. So how can we actually take our self-doubt and turn it into something positive for ourselves? Because I think a lot of the time when you're worried about self-development, worried about self-improvement, imposter syndrome and self-doubt really kind of comes along with that. And as much as we wouldn't want it to, it can be part of life. So the first thing that self-doubt is useful for is double checking, okay? So I'm going to be really boring here and say that attention to detail is important, okay? We often hear about this in the workplace, and it's very true in the workplace, and in academia as well, but also in your personal life, okay? So when you're trying to be productive, it's important to kind of learn from what you're doing, and if you make a mistake, it's really important to kind of learn from that so you don't repeat it, okay? And also to kind of double check what you're doing before you jump into it, okay? So there are kind of two approaches. You can learn by doing, jump in head first, go for it. And I often advocate for this, especially in the early stages of a goal, because you can overthink it, you can overplan it. So that's fine. But as you kind of get more into an experienced productivity mindset, then it can be useful to use your experience and use your knowledge to double check your next steps, okay? So sometimes self-doubt can be useful, like a little notification saying, did you double check this, okay? And especially if you've developed the tendency to just dive in head first, which is really useful at the first stage of your goals, it can be sometimes a little bit useful to go, okay, now I actually have more information and I'm more experienced. I'm going to use that experience to double check what I'm doing at a later stage, okay? Double checking. All right, the next thing that self-doubt can be useful for is in seeking mentors and further learning, okay? So nobody has it all figured out. I certainly do not, okay? Even people I admire certainly do not. And, nobody has it all figured out. And if you are humble enough to realize this, then it's really, really helpful, because what it can do is drive you to seek mentors, people who have already achieved what you're looking to achieve, and also further learning. I am the biggest nerd imaginable, okay? And I will always advocate for further learning, because learning and personal growth is literally what this channel is all about, and it's so important, okay? You can always develop a skill, you can always know more, you can always be better at something, okay? So seek mentors and further learning, and use your self-doubt to kind of funnel that energy into improving yourself, okay? Turn it around, use it for something positive. The next thing that I want to talk to you about in terms of self-doubt is that it can be really useful as an indicator to trust your gut. Now, I have talked about how to trust your gut feeling in a different video. So if you want a how-to guide as to how to listen to your gut feeling more and how to recognize it and understand what it's telling you, then go and check that video out, because it is really, really useful. You can just search on my channel. Anyway, but self-doubt can sometimes be an indicator to trust your gut. When you've been in, and I'm sure this has happened to everyone, it's happened to me so many times, so I can't be the only one. You've been in a situation and there's a little voice in your head going, I don't like this, I don't like this isn't right. And sometimes we kind of brush that voice off as self-doubt. We know this is fine. But if you're in a situation that makes you really uneasy, that can be an indicator to trust your gut, okay? And I have got myself into so many questionable situations, and situations that I ended up getting emotionally hurt in, or there were some other bad consequences that just wouldn't have happened if I had trusted my gut, okay? And so sometimes that feeling can have utility, it can have value, okay? So if you are struggling with self-doubt, consider that it might be telling you something about a situation that maybe has value, okay? And sometimes it's just straight up anxiety, I know, and that's fine. So don't give it too much credence, but sometimes it can be useful to think, is my gut feeling telling me something about the situation that I should listen to? All right, the next tip is for people who are naturally overconfident, and this isn't me. Well, it kind of is. Okay, so I guess there's kind of like two aspects. One part of me is like really confident and is like, I know all of this, and then the other part of me is like, oh, we have anxiety and so on and so on. But if you are naturally a very confident person, it is possible to be confidently wrong, okay? As someone who's been like confidently wrong many times, kind of an embarrassing number of times actually. Anyway, if you're naturally overconfident, use self-doubt as kind of an indicator to like slow down and make sure you have the concepts correct. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, it's about double checking. Now, you might be completely right, okay? And confidence is a beautiful thing, but you just gotta make sure that you are confidently right rather than confidently wrong, okay? So we're going back to the double checking principle, all right? And that is something that I've really been learning like recently, you know. It's a big process of learning whenever you start something new. So like just generally in my life, I've been doing a lot of new stuff, and in some ways I've been confidently wrong, and those times kind of like hurt my ego a little bit because I'm just like, oh, you know, I thought I had this right. But if you're naturally overconfident, like I was in those scenarios, use it as an indicator to like slow down, double check, make sure you have the concepts correct, okay? And I'm sure you do, but it doesn't hurt to check. And finally, I often talk about this at the end of videos, but constant improvement. I talked about this in like the learning section, but constant improvement applies to more than just learning. It applies to, you know, learning is a big part of it, but it applies to, you know, for example, you're going to the gym and you're getting stronger, okay? Or it might apply to, you know, you are like developing your social skills, okay? So constant improvement is a really big like outcome of self-doubt, and it's about like, you can turn it around and say it's more about humility and understanding that you can always improve. Okay? And I'm not saying don't be confident, but I'm saying that when you have self-doubt a lot of the time, it can be useful in these specific scenarios, okay, to drive your personal growth and to kind of just enable you to push yourself to become a better person. Because the last thing that you want to let self-doubt do to you is get you to like crawl into like a little corner of your house and just curl up and not do anything, okay, because you doubt yourself so much. Instead of letting self-doubt get to you like that, I want you to use it to just all round become a better version of yourself, okay? So yeah, maybe you might not be perfect right now, but you could go out and you could work at becoming a better person. And I don't want you to let self-doubt discourage you, okay? Self-doubt should be a catalyst for improving yourself, for getting further towards your goals, for becoming every day you should become more and more of the person that you want to be. And you can use self-doubt as fuel for that if you don't let it intimidate you. Okay, so I hope I've managed to give you like a different perspective on self-doubt and the ways in which you can be in charge of it, not the other way around. If you are not already subscribed, be sure to do that. Give this video a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye!